showtime. Welcome.
Yeah, you tuned in to DO Radio.
In the mix.
Play that loud, you already know.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Political Paula and Dead Air Dwayne. I want to thank everybody who braved the frigid temperatures. It felt like the North Pole on Saturday night outside, but at the AmVets on Fairview Avenue, it was hot. We had an awesome show. Loud Nation Wildlife did an awesome job, DL Radio, and thanks to the artists who came out to perform for us. We had some great comedy by Maddie Whipple and comedian Murph and myself. Not to toot my own horn at all, but... And we had wonderful sound by LBK, Lancaster's Best Karaoke, our own Dwayne. We had an awesome show. Okay, I'm hearing reverberations. Never mind. Anyway, we want to tell you how you can get On Deck Magazine. The magazine is awesome, and it is on sale right now for all of you to get. You need to go to loudnationwildlife.com. For $11.99, you can have this Valentine's Day special copy. And for any of my friends out there who know me, I will be happy to autograph your copy when you purchase one. Now, let's get to the show. All right, I want to say something here first to all of you and to my co-host. After last week's show, Dwayne received some hate comments calling him a racist. And I myself have been called a racist as well over the years for comments I make about certain true entitlement programs such as welfare and Medicaid. Dwayne is not only my co-host, he's my friend. Even though we vehemently disagree on almost every ideological issue in today's news. We disagree, but I respect his opinions and his right to voice them both here and on social media. And I believe he feels the same about me. Racists, true racists, come in all colors, from all religious groups and all nationalities. In the church I grew up in, parents did not want their children dating or marrying Jews. Still don't, to this day. The Greek church refuses to sanction a marriage between a Greek Orthodox and a Jew unless the Jew agrees to convert to Greek Orthodoxy, a Christian religion, and raise any children from the marriage in the Greek Orthodox faith. Catholics also do the same. Dwayne expressed opinions last week I think many white people feel today. We're sick of bearing the blame for every single thing that goes wrong in a person of a different color or religious background than ourselves. This does not mean Dwayne is a member of the KKK, as was suggested on Facebook last week. Us two crackers, yeah, I get to use that term because I am one, have a First Amendment right to openly stand up for the honest, ethical police officers who take their jobs to protect all of us seriously. Risk their lives every day to save any one of us, regardless of which God we pray to, the color of our skin, or who we choose to love. And that's my word for tonight. Like I said, we value everyone's opinions, but we would ask that you do so respectfully and not make personal attacks on anything you hear here, because at the end of the day, you don't know us personally. And we know each other personally. I think we both respect each other. So, Dwayne, a word?
Dead Air Dwayne, right? All right, look. Where do I start today? Let's start with, I thought you were going to start with something else.
Well, I'm going to start, but I just wanted to know if you wanted to make any comments about some of the stuff you
actually,
got this
no.
week.
You know
okay,
what I
then
do?
I'll read a comment from
actually,
listener.
I do have one.
Okay.
Go out to Facebook and go to NAAAP Pennsylvania and like that cause and help us bring all races together. And we're fighting for everybody. Everybody who wants to fight to get rid of all of the cancer in this country. Help us out, like the page, and check out the events. We don't have any up yet, but we will soon. Go ahead, Paula.
Very good. All right. Well, we had one comment, and actually it wasn't a comment necessarily to the radio show, but it's about something that I'm going to discuss. And actually, tonight, Dwayne and I are going to each take a candidate and say what we like about them, what we have problems with about them. I pulled Bernie Sanders, and because I'm usually a Democrat, not sure about this election, and Dwayne is going to do Donald Trump, which should be very interesting. So one reader said something that actually is part of what the Democrats seem to be for. And this is Sherry from Pennsylvania, who is also, I will, in all honesty, say is a good friend of mine, and I know her and her family very well. She says, I'm tired of politicians looking out for the poor. And I know that sounds mean, but when I go to the doctors and I pay a copay on top of my deductible and premiums, and a person on welfare gets the same treatment as me but pays nothing, that's BS. I want a president to look out for the middle class and get rid of Obamacare. And I agree with Sherry to a point, because she is right. And this is what I have on Bernie Sanders that bothers me greatly. And it would also probably apply to all the Democrats and some Republicans as well, from what I heard on the debate Saturday night. When asked who in history Bernie Sanders sees as a role model, he chose Franklin Delano Roosevelt for realizing that the role of government extended to feeding, housing, and ensuring the poor in our country. Sanders believes college education should be a right, along with health care. However, he has no clue how to pay for it. Any of his grandiose plans for a true nanny government, which, by the way, most Americans do not want. The role of government is not to provide basic necessities for their citizens, many of whom actually pay no taxes because they're rich enough to find loopholes, or they're considered by the government to be too poor to pay taxes. Food, clothing, housing, medical care, dental care, transportation, education should be the role of parents who choose to have children. Children should be wanted and planned for, period. Too many politicians seem to feel that the government, aka, or otherwise known as, responsible working child-free taxpayers, are responsible for providing everything for some Americans. Some who make bad choices, have kids they know before getting pregnant they can't afford. Feeling that having children will advance their life goal of sitting on a sofa waiting for the welfare check each month, rather than getting up each morning to go to a job and earn the television, the cable TV, the internet, the cell phones they spend all day enjoying. When a person who has no job, no real purpose in life other than having children they can't afford, spends their time thinking for ways to never have to work for anything or pay into our country through taxes, gets equal or in some cases better health care without ever paying one dime for it, then those of us like Sherry and her husband, myself and my husband, we pay outrageous premiums for insurance with deductibles so high we would need to have our entire family hit by a train or all of us diagnosed with terminal cancer in 1 year in order to use this insurance. We have a problem here. Bernie Sanders' hero is FDR, but FDR proposed welfare and Medicare and food stamps. Well, let's face it. Back then, men married the mothers of their children, had jobs and supported their families. Many mothers stayed home and went to the grocery store, not with government money, but with her husband's earnings. People lived by their means and had children with every intention of supporting them, not with a monthly trip to the welfare office, but with a daily trip to a job. Bernie Sanders may be a socialist, but true socialism should benefit all citizens for the country, not just the ones who make a choice to live so far below the radar of truly participating in the country, their government gives them every dime they paid in taxes back each April with a tax refund. Bernie wants people like me and my husband to have our taxes raised $500 a year, and for that he promises us $5,000 in health care coverage for free. What if we need $500,000 in medical bills for a major illness? Will the person with 8 kids working at a job they chose that pays $12 an hour also be charged $500 more a year? Or will they pay $1,000 for the 2 adults, and then what about the kids? People with children use our healthcare system and abuse it more than adults do. So how will Bernie charge those with large families equal amounts to make up for the higher cost of their family to our healthcare system? My husband and I should be paying less than everyone with kids because we simply do not go to the doctor or the ER as much. We should not be paying for what we will never use, what we do not use. 5-year-old gets a fever. Mommy runs to the doctor. If I get a fever, I take a leave and have a glass of wine and go to bed. 10-year-old gets a cough. Mommy runs to the doctor. I go get a bottle of Robitussin and rub Vicks Vapor Rub on my chest. Bernie wants to make it possible for more people to run to the doctors and ERs for minor stuff on the taxpayer's dime. Like Obama, he is underestimating the number of Americans who refuse to entertain the thought of ever paying for basic needs as long as the nanny government, by robbing their neighbors of our earnings, already provide. For those who fear socialism, we already have it. Welfare, food stamps, and Medicaid, the CHIP program, that's all socialism. And you know who pays for it? The sad part is the wrong people are being robbed. And people receiving it, not all, but in many cases, they really don't deserve it. College under Bernie, a right free for all, even wealthy kids? He says people are unable to afford college. And I ask, unable or unwilling? Many American parents don't believe they owe their children a college education. So here's my question, as it always is. Why should my husband and I, child-free, be paying through taxes for something that parents of these children don't think is necessary for their own children? It just isn't right. And there's my take on Bernie Sanders. I actually believe that this Democrat, lifelong Democrat, is really looking for another candidate. So, Dwayne, I'm going to turn it over to you and tell me why Republican might be the way to go for me this November.
Well, first, some of your things about Bernie Sanders there. You said he doesn't have a plan. Now, I'm not for Bernie Sanders. I'm not for Hillary Clinton. But Bernie Sanders actually has a plan to pay for what he's saying. But I want to tell you something. His plan is not a feasible plan. It is a plan that will, well, let's just put it this way. You want to pay 85, 90% taxes? Because that's what it's going to turn into if you vote for Bernie Sanders.
For the middle class, unfortunately.
Well, and to call him a socialist, he's not even a socialist. He's a communist.
He calls himself one.
Yeah, because that's a nice term for what he actually is. He's a communist. What he's talking about is communism. And you don't want to go that route. You really don't. And as far as this election is not about women's rights. This election is not about.
It shouldn't be.
It's not about any. All that stuff they're using is a smokescreen, because I want to tell you what this election's really about. We talked last week about views of what conservative is and what Democrat is. Okay, I got the new view of what conservative is and what Democrat is. Okay, a Democrat, this election, if you vote liberal, okay, and you vote Democrat, you're voting for globalization. That's the new view of Democrat, liberal. That's the view. You vote Republican, conservative, you're voting for non-globalization. You're voting for America the Great. You know what I mean?
So are you basically saying Bernie, the Democrats do want to be the world's policeman?
It's not about being. It's not about being.
All right, explain globalization a little bit.
Globalization.
Even for me,
okay.
I'm not sure. I mean,
okay.
I know what the word means, but I'm not sure
okay.
how you're referring to it.
I'm not talking about globalization in a good way. I'm talking about globalization like there's a reason that there was a Saddam Hussein. There's a reason that there was the leader, the dictators over there. There was reasons that those countries have dictators, because there's bad people. There's bad people on this earth. Bad, savage, bad people. All races, all colors, just bad people. And the bottom line is those dictators were bad people. But they kept the terrorists, they kept them in check.
Trump made that point.
And we have a problem now. And now, if we don't want those issues to come here, we need to stop the globalization as far as the United States goes. And we need to be a country for America. We need to be for America. Everybody in America needs to drop the whole race thing, needs to drop the hatred, needs to drop the, hey, if you're talking, let's get rid of the cancer in all the races. We need to get rid of the cancer in America. We're all Americans. And we need to get rid of the cancer here. And we need to build a wall. And we need to keep the drugs and we need to keep that shit from flowing in here. We need to do that. And we need to stop the crime and all the savage gangs, and that's another story. But I mean, the thing is, if you're for globalization, you vote Democrat. If you're for America the Great, you vote Republican, because this let's not talk about the issues that we already won. Let's talk about the issues that are facing us, the things that are right here in front of us right now, that if we vote wrong and we get the wrong person in this time, we are going to go into the abyss.
And you do believe that Trump is the right person?
I most certainly believe that Trump is the right person.
So, tell us what you like about Trump.
Well, look.
Because I actually, sadly, I was just supposed to tell you why I was thinking about voting Democrat, but as you saw, I can't find anything right now I like on the Democratic side. So tell me what I should like about Trump.
Well, first of all, he's very decisive. As a president, every decision he makes would be in the best interest of the country. I mean, he listens to people. When you watch one of his campaigns, he takes just different people out of the audience and takes unscreened. You all right over there?
Yeah. I'm getting a little bit of a cold.
Hairball?
Cold, not hairball. Not today.
I was going to say something.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay.
So, Trump. Donald Trump is the topic.
So anyway, he listens to people. He responds to questions, unscreened questions. And you got a rally of people, American people. The American people are really sick of what's going on. They really are. And when you see 17,000 people come together in a stadium, and then you got one or two people protesting inside that stadium, what the hell's wrong with those people? What the hell's wrong with those two people protesting? If there's 17,000 people there that are cheering.
Of fame. Everybody wants it.
Yeah. And you know what? Trump's like, I really like the people that protest, because it's the only time the damn cameras, the media, will turn the camera to fan the crowd to show exactly how many people are out in the crowd, because they aren't showing the movement. The media doesn't show the movement. They aren't showing the lines. You should see, if you go on it's called the right-wing broadcast on YouTube, and look at the Donald Trump.
He invigorates a crowd. He draws a crowd. He entertains the crowd.
They set up screens outside, and
his language, does his sense of, I don't like political correctness. Trust me, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of having to, watch my mouth, or, oh my God, someone's going to get offended. But when he threatens to sue someone unless they apologize to him, when before he had no problem with them, like in the case of Ted Cruz, does he sound like somebody who, if he becomes president, God forbid he goes to talk to a foreign leader and gets offended by them and then goes, oh my God, Angela Merkel just offended me, the Prime Minister of Germany, I think I'm going to sue her. Or she should, she's a fat pig woman, like he called Rosie O'Donnell. Does that scare you at all, that he does tend sometimes to act like a spoiled child when things don't go his way, or when he perceives an insult, like with Ted Cruz this week?
No. You know what? Personally, I'm the exact same way.
Yeah,
I am the exact same way.
I get that.
Look, it's as simple. You want to be my friend? You be honest. You want to be my business partner? You really better be honest. What's that? What comments from the peanut gallery?
Yeah, we have a little bit of an audience here tonight.
I mean, serious. And
Well, his language does offend some in
And
the Bible Belt, which is your neck of the woods there, Dwayne. I mean, you always say the word is the book. And in South Carolina, they interviewed a few voters this week, and they actually are concerned that Donald Trump is not a true Christian, is not going to uphold their values, and they don't like his language.
What's a true Christian?
Well, see, but I'm not
wait,
debating this
whoa,
with you.
wait a minute.
I'm saying what the
What's a
voters
true
in
Christian?
South Carolina are saying about
But, okay,
Donald Trump. They have
what?
a problem with his persona.
Okay, but
He's
now
not religious enough
if they
for them.
if they
which
want,
I think is wrong. I don't think the president needs to be
no,
a Christian.
and no, he
but
doesn't.
they do. In the South, they want a
Well-
Christian. They want to see their president every Sunday morning coming out of church like George Bush did, like the Clintons did. You don't see
Yeah, and
Obama
George
doing
Bush
it.
kept us real safe, didn't he?
Well, wait a minute. Before you do that, though, what these people want, they love the Bushes in South Carolina, by the way. If you watch those debates.
That's why he's at 2%.
Every word Bush said, though.
That's
that
why
debate,
he's at
they
2%.
cheered for him, and Trump got booed.
No,
And-
wait a minute. Whoa, wait. Now, hold on, right there. I'm going to stop you. That debate, that was all those people that were booing were the special interests, and that's why you don't want to vote for any of the people that anything you heard cheering when you heard cheering. Out
Yeah.
there, and the boos were the special interests. Those were the people that were funding the money. And research it.
That's what Trump always says,
that-
and I never knew that because why not let the voters actually come in
And
listen
that's what
to
Trump
the
wants to
debates
do, and
instead of the special
that's what-
interest groups?
And that's what Trump
I mean,
wants.
if you're going to pad the audience with
That's
your
exactly
people,
what he did.
They're all going to get cheers from someone.
Exactly. And the Republican they do not like Trump for the
Oh
simple
no,
fact,
the whole party doesn't.
simple
like him.
fact that he's not your typical Republican. He sits in the middle. I mean, he sits in the middle.
And I like that about him. The one thing I can say about Trump is that on Saturday night, he actually looked Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio right in the face and said, no, I'm not going to defund Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood does good things. Do I want them to do partial birth abortions, have taxpayers pay for those abortions? No. But they do good things. And for a Republican candidate for president to say that actually gave me some hope that if he is the nominee, I may actually have a choice, because I was a Hillary girl all the way. And now I'm moving way away from Hillary. And I'm not, I think I understand why, is because I kind of thought Hillary was going to be voting for Bill. And I have to remind myself, Bill Clinton is not going to be the president. I would like him to be, but he's not going to be. And I cannot vote for Hillary because I just cannot back up. I have just a bad feeling that if a Democrat gets the White House this November, my husband and I are going to continue to be treated like we are the top 1% instead of the middle class where we actually are, simply because we don't have the child tax credits and the child deductions that the true middle class and true families
hold on a minute.
get credit for by Democrats.
You're totally wrong.
I'm not totally wrong. I
Wait.
know what it's tax season, and
Wait a
boy,
minute.
that gets my blood always
Wait a
boiled.
minute. You're totally wrong.
Well, I wish
Because-
somebody would
okay.
steal my identity and
Okay.
pay my taxes.
You're
because
totally
they get no
wrong.
refund.
Let me tell you my story. Let me tell you my story. I have kids, okay, and I got screwed these past 8 years as far as child tax credits go.
Why?
Because they changed the tiers, and before I was able to get, well, my family was able to get a full child tax credit if you were below a certain amount, the full amount.
Yeah,
whatever
I
it was.
wouldn't know. My husband and I have not had
Okay.
a tax refund
Now-
in 20 years. So we don't know
well-
anything about that. We're self-employed. We don't have kids. We pay in.
Well, yeah, well, I'm self-employed, and I claim all my taxes. I claim everything. Okay, I own my own business, and which just barely pays my bills. I'm not sticking money in the bank.
And your wife works.
And my wife works. My wife works 2 jobs.
Right.
Okay,
And you don't get a tax refund?
and I don't get a tax refund.
Nothing.
I get $900 if you need to know. $900 because you know what?
An amount,
Guess what?
but-
And guess how much my child tax credit was? Guess how much? Guess how much I was.
For how many children under 21? Under
One.
18?
One.
Child. Okay.
One.
Well,
Take a guess.
well, you got 900 back.
No. 900 back, but guess how much we paid in?
Okay.
Okay. I mean, when you look at the amount that the government took from us
Right.
to the amount that we actually got back, it's horrible. It's horrible. That $900, I could piss on it. I mean, I could really. I should.
Well, I'll trade you. I'll piss on your $900 if you pay the couple thousand or several thousand that my husband and I owe every April, when we already pay in what do they call them? Estimated taxes, because my husband has his own business
Okay,
as
well,
well,
then
and it's a corporation, and therefore he has to pay corporate
Then-
tax, Social Security, unemployment. He actually pays in like he has employees working for him, and he doesn't. He's a one-man show. But he is required to have workman's comp on himself because he works on sites. We get screwed every which way but loose. We also have to pay self-insurance for everything. We do. We have to. I don't know if we're doing something wrong.
You're doing something
we need a
wrong.
new accountant. I don't know, because we never get a tax refund. And, we certainly...
I bet your accountant gets paid.
Oh, our accountant definitely
Yeah,
gets his
yeah.
money before even...
Well,
But, it's
I'll
funny,
talk
'cause
to you about this.
All I keep hearing about is, be careful. People are stealing people's identities to claim their tax refunds. I'm like, oh, Jesus, please.
I mean,
Somebody take my identity, because I'd be happy to have you pay our taxes.
If it
Because,
were-
again, we pay in. We don't get back.
if it weren't for saving receipts and mileage from my
Oh,
car
my husband
and
gets to do that.
and partial electric bill, partial telephone
right.
cable.
That's
If it
just
weren't
standard for being self-employed.
But if it weren't for that stuff, my God, we'd get hammered.
Well,
we would get
let me tell you
hammered.
something real quick, and we're probably getting ready to take a break, but let me just say something that Marco Rubio brought up, and it really upset me on Saturday night because of the quote that he made. His quote said, "I want to triple the child tax credit because people working who have children earn their money, and it's not the government's money, so they should have that for buying backpacks and paying for private school, etc." Now, here's what I have a problem with. How come someone with children's money that they earn by working belongs to them for backpacks and private school and Snickers bars and trips to Disney World, but my husband's and my money does not belong to me because we have no children, and they're perfectly willing to not give us any deductions for our dog, by the way, because we like to use our money to buy things nice for us. That's why we have no children. It was a choice. But we're being punished for that choice. While people with kids are being told by the government, go ahead, have kids. We're going to give you money for every kid you have. You won't be paying taxes for those kids. But my husband and I are not treated like a family. We're not considered a family. The Supreme Court judge, the lawyers at the Supreme Court, when they were fighting over the definition of marriage, told my husband and I, we're not married because the Republicans deem marriage as a man and a woman for the procreation of children. That's the purpose of marriage for them. My husband and I are frauds. We got married. The day we got married, we said we never want no kids, but we got married. Guess my marriage isn't legal. We're not treated like a family by the government through taxes.
Why isn't your marriage legal?
Because the Supreme Court, when the Republicans went to say that gays shouldn't get married, they defined marriage differently. Marriage is between a man and a woman. This is a direct quote from the lawyers who were fighting against gay marriage. Marriage is between a man and a woman, the union of one man, one woman for the procreation of children. What they were
For
trying
the
to
purpose of procreation.
Well, right. Here's the problem, though. What they were trying to do was say that gays should not be allowed to marry because they cannot naturally procreate. What they said was, by doing that, though, because one of the justices said to the answer, they asked a question of the lawyers in the Supreme Court. Believe me, I followed this case very carefully. One of the justices said to the lawyer, okay, so what you're telling me is a 60-year-old woman gets engaged to a 75-year-old man. Neither one of them can she can no longer procreate. Does that mean their marriage should be deemed not legal? So even the Supreme Court justices questioned the validity of that lawyer trying to define marriage as a man and a woman for the purpose of procreating children.
Right, but they did that only because they were trying to find and draw straws. I mean, it was
they were trying to
draw
force gay
straws.
people back in their closets and make it shameful and make sure that gay people paid inheritance taxes like people who are not related to each other, even after. I mean, the whole gay marriage thing, we can discuss this another time, and we will. It was about money. Gay people pay more taxes individually because before they were considered true married partners, they paid more inheritance tax, and that was the whole basis of the gay marriage. That's why the gays wanted legal marriage, because they were being screwed by the government through taxes that married couples do not have to pay, because once again, the government bribes people to do what the government thinks is a good thing.
Right.
They bribe us to get married,
Yeah.
and they bribe us to have children.
Well,
And if we do, they give us little breaks,
well,
little perks.
no.
And I'm sick of it.
That's not a bribe.
My husband and I got married for the tax perk. The only reason we got married was because I inherited property from my mother. And if my husband and I had not gotten married and something happened to me, he would have to pay 15% inheritance tax.
Eric
on
wants me
our
to put a ring
property.
on his finger.
Well, you know what? That's ridiculous. We're not going to make a joke out of this because it's very important. The government
listen.
does bribe people to get married, and it bribes people to have children.
Look,
And there is no doubt in my mind about that. And
look,
anyone who
there
can
comes
tell
a
me
point.
differently,
I'll tell you right now. Let
Please
me
prove it.
explain this to you. Okay, if you're a person of integrity, there's no bribing involved. You cannot be bribed if you have integrity. Okay.
Well, I didn't want my husband paying 15% inheritance tax on property he actually paid to live because I wasn't working.
That's
He
not
was
a
earning
Republican thing, and it's not a Democrat thing.
No, it's a government thing. It's inheritance tax,
But
which
now,
is illegal. And some
do you know
Republicans,
Donald
by the
Trump-
way,
Donald Trump wants to eliminate
get rid of
that.
it, and I hope he does. George W. Bush. The Democrats love inheritance tax. They raise it. George W. Bush raised it to the point where you won't pay federal. He raised the threshold, which I appreciate. Now we need the states to come on board because states, Pennsylvania, 15% inheritance tax on a non-related person inheriting.
Can I throw a scenario in front of you?
Go ahead, please. Throw
Okay,
it.
here's a scenario. We have a world, okay, and everybody all of a sudden decides they want to be gay. Everybody in the world decides they want to be gay and they want to get married and they want to get married. This is the new way. Everybody's going to be gay. The new way, everybody be gay. All right, and we're all going to get married. Now that's the scenario. All right. Now Bob is nailing Ron, and Ron is doing Jeremy, and Jeremy is doing Bill, and Bill is doing Keith, and okay, and then we got on the other side over here, we got Amy doing whoever, and Becky doing this person, and Sally doing that. All, you know what I'm saying? The girls, all girls doing girls.
I'm not sure what you're saying.
Okay,
if you're trying to say
hold
that,
on a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
We got all girls doing girls. Now, what happens? What happens to the world, okay, in 100 years? 100, it will only take 100 years. What would happen to the species? What would happen to the species if everybody decides to be gay? This is the way that everybody's supposed to be, because what happens?
Nobody is saying they're supposed to be anything.
What
People
happens?
Are born with certain.
What happens in 100 years from now if everybody were gay?
What happens in 100 years from now if more people, which by the way is happening, like me and my husband, decide we are heterosexual, but we don't choose to have children because first, we can't afford them. Second, we just don't want them. Or third, we didn't get married like myself till I was 40. And after 40, I said I'm not having kids.
Wouldn't you miss having something like that?
No, actually, he's showing me a T-shirt that says "Best Dad, hands down." You know, my husband
what?
has one of those.
Both
The
of my
dog
kids-
bought it for him.
Both of my kids' hands prints on there.
Yeah, well, we have paw prints. The dog, yeah, Jason has one of those
Best
from
thing
our
in
dog,
my life.
Savannah Rose,
Best thing in
who
my
is
life,
the
my
best
children.
child in the
Best
world.
thing in my life, my
And
children.
she's never going to come home pregnant. She's never going to bring us grandchildren.
You'll
She's never going to get arrested for being out drunk driving or on drugs. I love my dog. And if more people, you know, you're making, first of all,
You'll never understand.
gay marriage has now been legal for
You'll
almost a year.
never understand.
I didn't see
Because you're not a
people
parent.
joining the club.
You'll never
Dwayne.
understand because you're not
You
a
need to
parent.
stop talking over me. I do understand. I do understand what you're saying, but what you're saying makes no sense. It's not a club that everybody wants to get into. I am not a gay woman.
Then don't come
I
down on the
respect
club.
Gay people.
Don't come down on our club.
You're coming down on the gay club, and it's not a club.
No, I'm
It
not
isn't-
coming down on the
okay,
gay club. I'm
you're
asking a
talking
question.
About everybody, Debbie.
You didn't
doing
answer my
Danny and
question.
Everybody doing.
What
about swingers?
happens? What happens
about
in 100
bisexuals?
years? What happens in 100 years?
First of all, you are never going to come to a point
can't procreate.
where
What happens in 100
everybody
years?
in this country is gay because
Why not?
everybody is gay. I'm not gay. Just because gays are allowed to get married, I didn't divorce my husband and run out and find me a chick. I'm not gay. I'm never going to be gay. You're not gay. I'm assuming you're never going to be gay. Just because they say, okay, now you can get married to a woman doesn't mean I'm going to go out and screw one.
Now let me tell you.
I like my husband.
Okay, now let me tell you something else
I
about
like
myself, Paula.
Heterosexual sex.
Let me tell you something else
That's
about myself,
not
Paula.
going to change just because gay marriage is legal.
Let
for
me tell you something else about myself, Paula. I have a gay brother-in-law. I respect him. You know why I respect
glad
him?
you respect
Do you know
him.
why
You
I
should.
respect him?
He deserves your respect.
Do you know why I respect him? I don't respect him because of his morals. Do you know why I respect him?
Because he likes Donald Trump.
No, well,
You told me that on Facebook.
right.
I'm kidding.
Because he has a brain. Because he has a brain.
Well, most homosexuals do have brains, Dwayne. They're very nice people, and I'm sure you know more gay people than you think. Because they, believe it or not,
Hey,
they
look,
don't come up and shake your hand and go,
hey, listen.
Hi, Dwayne, nice to meet you. By the way, I'm gay.
Guess what? I worked at both the Sundown Lounge and the Tally Ho in Lancaster, and I worked
Both
at
very nice establishments. Good food at the Tally.
Well, let me tell you something. Back when I worked there, they weren't very nice.
Be nice, though. Try to
I
say
worked.
something decent.
No, listen to me. You want to hear the stories? You know, there's nothing about being nice. This isn't a politically correct show, and if you want it
It's
to be a
not.
politically
It's
correct
not
show, I'm not going to
politically
join in
correct.
anymore.
It's not politically correct.
Okay,
But, I
so
mean,
back in the 90s when I worked at the Tally Ho, okay, you know, I had an experience in there one night that just totally just made me sick in my stomach and totally turned me against that whole thing. It's totally disgusting what went down in that place. And I worked there for many years. And the shit that happened in that bathroom,
Okay.
horrible.
Okay. And you don't think that happens in heterosexual bars? And I have a feeling what you're talking about, which I
No, it
also
doesn't.
belie-
No, it doesn't.
Wow.
No, it doesn't.
No. Okay. Okay.
Because
I
I've never
think you're
walked
wrong,
in.
actually,
I've never
but-
walked into a heterosexual bar and saw a man sitting on a urinal and another man
Okay.
blowing him.
Okay.
I've never seen
okay.
anything like that in a
Well, all right.
heterosexual bar.
Well,
And now,
let
I've
me
never
tell
seen
you
it.
what does happen in heterosexual bars. Women follow men into bathrooms and give them oral pleasure in a bathroom or in the alley, outside the bar. Or hookers stand outside the bar trying to get clients coming out of the bar to go home with them. Heterosexuals. So, again, you are saying that from one experience in a gay bar.
It wasn't just one experience.
Well, what I'm
so
saying
then I
is
went,
that was the
okay.
atmosphere there.
So
but
then I
you're
went and I got-
labeling every gay person by
So then,
that.
okay, no. So then I went to get paid one time. Okay, at the end of the night, after my show was over, I'm there working. They know I'm straight. They have no right picking on me because I'm straight. They have no right putting me down because I'm straight. They have no fucking right at all doing that. period. And
They
and,
don't.
and I've totally, and that's why. And I want to tell you something. 90%, 1 out of 10, I can sit down and have a conversation with. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I don't find fault. I don't find fault with somebody's views. I find fault with people's integrity. I find fault with the way they handle themselves. And if you handle yourself in such a, I don't even want to use the word. Okay, I'm not even going to use the word. But if you handle yourself in that way, then to me, you have put yourself in a class of people that don't even deserve to have the ability to make choices, to be respected when you make those choices. The whole movement, again, segregation.
Well, I'm going to say one thing, and then we're going to take a break. And I want to revisit this subject on another show. We do want to, of course, the big story this week was Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia passing away. We want to get to that story and the politics behind it. But I want to say one thing. What you're talking about in a certain environment, I have experienced as a heterosexual woman in a bar wearing my wedding ring. Just let me finish because we got to go to break. But I do have to, and I'm not trying to defend what you experienced because that's terrible. And it's terrible that the owners of the bar allowed that to go on in their bar. Nobody should walk into a bar either as a client or an employee and feel unsafe, discriminated against, or sexually harassed. That's every bar, but every bar has it. A heterosexual bar can also be a very unsafe, uncomfortable place for both employees and patrons. I have been in bars already with girlfriends wearing my wedding ring where men are all over me, coming on to me, wanting to buy me a drink, trying to feel me up. It happens. It happens in all bars, and it is up to the owners of the bar and the patrons and the employees to stand up and say something about it and make it done. To label every heterosexual man who offers to buy me a drink as some kind of lech who wants to get in my pants would be wrong on my part. It would be bad. Because what for every bad experience you had at one bar, at this Tally-Ho bar and at the Sundown, I can tell you, I can give you names, which of course I will not do on the public airways. I can give you names of professional homosexual people who give to charity, who volunteer, who are the best people you are ever going to want to meet, and a hell of a lot better than some of those leches that tried to feel me up in a bar knowing I was married, knowing my husband, and the bar did nothing about it, and I'm the one who had to say, I'm married, you get your hands off me, and I had to leave the bar, okay? So you cannot label every single person by 1 or 2 or even 10 bad experiences. You know, nobody wants sexuality shoved in their face in a public place. Anybody's sexuality. So I'm going to leave it with that. We are definitely going to be discussing this again, though. I can guarantee that. We are being told by our producer we need to take a hard break right now. You got to listen to some awesome music. I want to say once again, order your On Deck magazines now. I wrote a lot of the articles. My friends and loved ones out there, y'all want to see my name in print, right? There's awesome pictures, awesome stories. Many of the stories are about people doing good in our community in Lancaster. So you need to go to loudnationwildlife.com. There's links there to order the magazine, $11.99 per copy, well worth your time, and you will enjoy them. Plus, the pictures of the artists are so hot for you ladies out there, and some men too.
Industry music, when you speak the truth, you end up dying. Like the great Bob Marley said to me one time, the more you kill greats, the more greats form. I'm just one of the real ones. You feel me? Brave, stand and speak for the timid. Good, please pray for the wicked. Rich, reach out to the poor. Daddy, why you don't love me no more? Warm, can you keep the color up? Let's live up the way that we should. Happiness, true sadness, the way. Love is the answer, kids come this way. Oh, 13 is now and the world is still here. Lord, you're my everything, who shall I fear? Lord, I feel you, yes, your present is still here. Get the direct on my back because it's pulling on my way here. Leaders on the earth, who you working for? Is it the devil stop my people from war? I'm up against you if you're up against me. I'm down for my people who down and feeling me. You want to hate me, hate my pain. I love my kids, but they're losing the brain. To fight legions, then you gotta just God. People dying easy cause life is so hard. I don't care what they think about me. I often wonder what they think about these successors, go-getters, elders and trendsetters. I'm a young king and I love the peacemaker. Brave, stand and speak for the timid. Good, please pray for the wicked. Reach out to the poor. Daddy, why you don't love me no more? Or can you keep the color up? Let's live up the way that we should. Happiness, true sadness, the way. Love is the answer, keeps come this way. Master man keeps selling hopeless people hope. Hope was impatient, life is no joke. Salah, speedy, they gone they really miss. I wish they could see me spitting rhymes like this. Real getting realer, I practice, I train real. Fake open up, then you can feel real. Real never die, the flesh may be destroyed. Listen to the voice, is the sound of the real boy. Your mind can be your worst enemy. My mind keep telling the world against me. I'm deep in my mind, I don't sleep at night. Each time I close my eyes, me and my mind I stop damn fight. Paparazzi, I got to get this off my chest. Why they kill the great and the best? I'm dying to see what they don't want to see. Mark and Tony, out and free.
Let's do this for the nation. Let's do it for the kids. Let's do it for the homeless people. Got nowhere to live. Let's do this for the nation. Let's do it for the kids. Let's do it for the homeless people. Got nowhere to live.
You're so beautiful. And sometimes you're so beautiful it just gags me. Maybe you're not real, but maybe you're a phantom or something. I keep expecting you to vanish.
I never seen a girl like you. And the way you do the things that you do, I don't even believe that it's true. 'Cause girl, you're so beautiful. I pinch myself to see if it's real. Is it really love that I feel? I'll never leave you, girl, I'm here to stay. And I never want your love to go away. so beautiful. Just to let you know, girl, you're so beautiful. That's for sure, for sure, for sure. Girl, you're so beautiful. Just to let you know, girl, you're so beautiful. That's for sure, for sure, for sure. Girl, you're so beautiful. Know you heard it many a time. They were just spitting game. It's really what's on my mind. And you don't never change your worth more than money can buy. And I know that I ain't tripping. You see how I feel inside. Cause girl, you're so beautiful. Just to let you know, girl, you're so beautiful. That's for sure, for sure, for sure. Girl, you're so beautiful, so beautiful. Just to let you know, girl, you're so beautiful. That's for sure, for sure, for sure. Girl, you're so beautiful, so beautiful. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, girl. Oh, yeah. Girl, you're so beautiful.
And we're back. I'm on my own for a few seconds here. Dwayne had to step out. You can guess. Never mind. Okay, as we all probably have already heard, Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia passed away suddenly this weekend. Excuse me, I am so sorry. I am getting a cold. Here's the issue. This hasn't really happened for 50 years. So it's the first time in our generation that we're dealing with a Supreme Court justice dying suddenly during an election year. President Obama technically is still in office for almost another year, 11 months. The Republicans, actually sadly, and this is sad, and I think Dwayne will agree with me when he comes back, his body wasn't even cold. And the first thing the Republicans started saying was President Obama should not be allowed to nominate his successor because it will tilt the court liberal. Now, Dwayne is going to make some, I think, good points about this because I'm confused. I don't understand why, for one thing, okay, I got accepted to college my senior year in September or in the second semester. So right like December, I knew I had a college placement. So the next semester, I got all Fs. I didn't care because I didn't need the grades. I didn't have to go to school. I didn't have to do the work. I mean, I had to go, but I didn't have to do the work because I was already accepted to college. Screw school. If you're retiring next year, does that mean you don't have to go to work for the rest of the year? You can just phone it in? Our president is the president that the people of this country elected into office. And he is doing this job for the next 11 months. So for the Republicans to say he should not do his job, which constitutionally his job is to nominate a replacement for Justice Antonin Scalia. And by the way, here at Political Paula and Dead Air Dwayne, our thoughts and prayers go out to his wife of decades and his 9 children who have been forgotten with all this political chaos that his death has caused. Mostly, unfortunately, the Republicans did bring it up first. That, oh, we don't want a liberal judge in there. Oh, my God, we're going to lose marriage. We're going to lose the abortion argument because, we have to remember something. Antonin Scalia was a liberal justice. And gay marriage passed. It passed in June. So even with a conservative judge in this position, now my husband had an idea, and Dwayne, I want to ask you what you think about this. This is such an issue right now, and I've never heard of it before, but My husband thinks maybe there should be like the vice president. If anything happens to our president, the vice president takes over. Why not, in a situation like this, have an alternate judge waiting in the background that is exactly like Antonin Scalia, with his same politics, with his same values? Replace that judge with a judge of like views, and then if a liberal judge passes, then a judge with those same views gets put in.
Unfortunately, there is not another judge that has his views. He was a constitutionalist,
Yes, very much so.
and there is nobody that will uphold the Constitution like he did. And the bottom line here is that there's a few reasons why it's not a good thing to have a judge standing on standby. Let me give you just one of the reasons. Okay? You don't like what the judge does, you off the judge, and you have the alternate judge come in.
No, you can't do that. It's a lifetime appointment.
You-
All justices are put
It's
until
a
they
lifetime-
retire or they die.
Exactly, till they die.
So then they die, the alternate comes
Did you
in.
hear what I said?
Right.
You didn't hear what I said. It went right over your head. If you don't like the judge's point of view, you simply off the judge.
Oh, my God. Are you actually trying to say they would murder a Supreme Court justice to change the level of the
When
court?
the Supreme Court justice, a Supreme Court
You read
justice,
too many
no, a
too
Supreme
many
Court,
books.
listen to me, a Supreme Court justice dies and they rule it cardiac arrest, but do not perform an autopsy on him.
He was 79 years old.
He was healthy, 79-year-old.
So was my 40-year-old hairdresser, too, and he had a stroke in his shower.
They still did an autopsy.
He didn't die. He lived, but he did have a
Well,
stroke.
well,
he
then-
was healthy, too.
So
but
he
healthy
didn't die in the
people have
shower
heart
then?
attacks.
He didn't die
Well,
in the
no,
shower
I'm sorry.
then?
He had a stroke in his shower.
Look, okay, look. If you think, and the American public think, that our government, and you sit there and go, oh, well, they'll never do that to us. Well, let me tell you something. Look back, 1965. I want to tell you something. 1950. I'm not exactly sure what the date was. 54, 55, 56, something like that. They have made a gun that shoots CO2 darts. CO2 darts. These darts are not made. They're not made of what you think they're made of. The darts are made of ice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I read that book.
It's a heart attack gun.
Richard North Patterson, I believe.
Actually, I didn't read no book. I read a report about it.
Wow.
Okay, so
Or Tom Clancy. That sounds like a
I
Tom
actually
Clancy
seen
novel,
I
actually.
seen the image of the gun.
Wow.
So, if you think that it's not going on, you're foolish. And right now, the goal is globalism. And global and look, I'm not. There's this far right and there's this far left, and if you get covered by the smoke screen of everything in between, and you don't look at what's going on the far end, we've got two parties of extreme parties.
I agree with that.
And if you don't watch what's going on one end versus what's going on the other end, and you don't keep the people in the middle, you're going to have a serious problem. And the liberal left wants to globalize. They want to globalize. They've given away all of our business, all of our jobs. But then on top of it, they say, well, we'll give you a pay raise. Well, give us a pay raise for what? What is a pay raise going to do us? Give us a good job that will give us more than the $15 an hour. Bring our 27, our 33, our $43 an hour jobs back. Bring them back here. They're gone because the liberals left them go, left them move to other countries. brought made the tax base so freaking high that they couldn't, they keep their money offshores because they can't even bring it back into the country. It's too expensive. And if it needs to stop. And that's the way far left. And if you vote Democrat, you're voting for that, even though you might not agree with that. You're still voting for that.
Well, I think perhaps, and my husband also, who is very smart, made this comment after last week's show, and I think perhaps this would work with the Supreme Court as well, is to have term limits. Because as somebody did make the point, back when the Constitution said Supreme Court justices are nominated and serve for life, people lived 50 years, was your lifespan. Now it's 80 years, 90 years. And technically, someone who is 90-something years old can serve on the Supreme Court for 50 years. There should maybe be term limits on the Supreme Court. And that way, and it maybe should coincide with a presidential election so that every president that is elected has an opportunity to get to nominate at least one or two Supreme Court justices during their term. But the term only lasts for, say, 8 years, 10 years, whatever. But that and my husband actually made the comment that when we vote for president, we should also be voting for our Congress and Senate all at the same time. And that way the American people can truly send a message if they want change. In other words, if we're not happy with the Democrats, then we vote for a Republican president, and we vote all the Senate. We give Republicans the control of the Senate and the House. We should have these elections simultaneously, presidential and House.
Right, but you saw what happened when Obama had the super Congress, and they got nothing done. They're
getting nothing done even now because
right.
no Republican will dare vote. And you know what's going to happen now?
You know what they're getting done? They're filling...
If something, God forbid, happens that we have a president that the Democrats don't respect, we're going to have another 4 to 8 years where we're getting nothing done because they're going to say, we don't like this guy. We're not going to vote for anything he wants,
Paula,
and they're going to block him.
Hot off the wire. I'm going to read this to you.
Uh-oh, something just came up. So we have breaking news for the first time on our show.
Washington, D.C., a source close to the White House is reporting that President Obama plans to appoint himself to the Supreme Court. President Obama reportedly plans to appoint himself to the Supreme Court.
That is such a lie.
Filing the vacancy left by the recent death of Justice Scalia.
What's the website on that?
Tell us all. Obama will appoint himself to Supreme Court during the Senate recess. In order to make this happen, President Obama will resign, leaving presidency to current Vice President Biden, who will swear in Obama as Supreme Court Justice. The office of Vice President...
It's not going to happen. They're never going to approve him, for one thing.
The office of Vice President will then be filled by the congressman.
You know what? This is not a comedy show.
How about that?
Yeah, but tell me the link on that. Yeah.
Hey, look, now
that is absolutely not true, and we try
to
say facts here, or at least semi-facts.
That's the kind of satire you get, folks,
well,
when you read
know what? That'd be a
People
great
of Lancaster.
Novel. That'd be a great novel.
Did you hear what I said? That's the kind of satire you get when you read People of Lancaster.
Yeah. Do you know what's scary is I actually read one of those websites that said that, I don't know, somebody was dead and they were alive, and I don't know how many times certain actors have been dead, and yeah, you got to be careful what you listen to, folks. And bringing that up, we're toward the end of the show right now. We're going to continue this discussion because I'm sure the Republicans and the Democrats will be. I want to say something about something that was said last week because it is a show that I like to think educates people. And this is no insult to you at all, Dwayne.
Later on, Paula.
Oh, you have to leave us? Yep. Oh, are you sure? Yeah, no, let's go. Okay. Well, have a good night. I'm talking about you, though, and actually, I did have a real quick question for you, though. It's about what you said about birth control last week and your preference for what you use for, and again, this is no offense to you, but I do want to say something to our listeners because young women might be listening and young men as well, and the rhythm method that you prefer, and that's worked for you, and that's great, is not statistically proven to work, and I don't want anyone out there listening to think that we're promoting or saying that it works. But I wanted to just ask you, because I have a whole bunch of things that I need to tell people out there about why you should always use not only birth control but also condoms if you're having sex and you're not even in a committed relationship. And it's for STDs, the HPV virus that causes cervical cancer, HIV, of course. And also, of course, birth control is 99% effective, whereas the rhythm method, not so much. I wanted to ask you a little bit of a personal question, and if it's not too personal, why don't you like pharmaceutical birth control? And I'm not, because there's nothing religiously wrong with it. As far as the birth control pill, the Depo-Provera shot, or even condoms, why do you prefer this method? It's just a personal question, actually. You can answer off air if you want. I'm just wondering why you would choose that particular method.
Because
to me, it's not a very satisfying way to enjoy relations, but I mean, obviously, it's working for you.
Because I don't like the idea of my wife having to take pharmaceuticals.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair, and that's very true. That's a very good point. I went on the Depo-Provera because the pill, I was not pleased with the side effects for the pill. So that's a very good point. Okay, that's good. You're dismissed if you really need to go, or you can just stay and say, "Stay, I'm almost done." I just wanted to make sure that young women and young women out there know that they need to. I know you believe that people should be having sex after marriage.
Can I just make a point quick?
Sure.
That all this stuff that Paul is referring to here, it just all disappears if you just, the one word, abstinence. Later.
Right. All right, darling. Have a good week. Oh wait, Eric is here. Eric is a guest of the show. He's a valued listener.
Gary Johnson for president, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Hey, that's my time for tonight. I do want to say once again, though, that for all you ladies out there and men, I want to say this especially to the ladies, is that don't. I know it's not fair that mostly women are always responsible for not only using the birth control and putting our bodies at risk for side effects, but also we're usually responsible for paying for it as well. But you know what? Make your men, and I know abstinence is great, and yes, I do also think that people should abstain from sex unless they're in a committed relationship. I don't do it for religious purposes. I just do it because it makes more sense. And again, there are diseases out there, and there are diseases out there that have no symptoms in men, like the human papillomavirus that causes cervical cancer.
Paula,
he's back.
Paula, you just admitted that you're moral. Listen to this.
I have morality. I think I'm actually more Republican on moral values. I actually believe that that parents should be married before they have children. All right. I told my husband when we met I would not have a baby with him until we were legally married. People tell me a lot that I'm actually more Republican than I am Democrat because I do have old-fashioned family values. I think it's a wonderful thing for women if they can to stay home and raise their children and the husband goes out and has a job, or the men stay home. And I think a parent should be home with the children if it's at all possible. So I'm very, very moral. But I do say to women out there who are having sex, protect yourselves. And the only way you protect yourself from diseases is by making sure that you buy the condoms and you force your man to wear a condom every time, even after, get tested. Have him get tested. And that's just something I wanted to put out there because I do want to be a responsible show. And I know that abstinence is something Dwayne really advocates, as many do, but I don't believe it's realistic to expect it. So I don't. I expect, I hope for the best, but I know that realistically there are going to be people out there that are having sex
while we're having
with
a sex
people they're not in a steady relationship.
While we're having a sex
ed class. We need it to be safe. We don't want sex to kill people.
While we're having a sex ed class, let's just make sure that we tell people that condoms don't work.
Not all the time.
Wait, no, listen. If you want to talk about sexually transmitted diseases, condoms don't work unless you put the condom on before you put it in your mouth. Later.
Well, that's a very good point because, and you know what, Dwayne, thank you for making that point, and I'm going to say one more quick thing. Ladies, don't ever let a man say to you that oral sex is not sex because sexually transmitted diseases are transmitted through oral sex. So make sure you understand that too. And like I said, if I send one message to the ladies out there, respect yourself. And whatever way you choose to respect yourself, make sure that you never allow anyone to talk you into something you don't want to do. And make sure that if you do choose to have sexual relations with someone, you protect yourself, because once again, one mistake, being with the wrong person one time, can kill you. And it's something I don't want any of my listeners to ever have to go through. So on that note, remember, go to loudnationwildlife.com. Order those magazines on deck. They're going to go fast because they are an awesome, awesome issue. We worked really hard on it, and we want to share it with all of you. So make sure you check that out. I want you guys to stay well, stay informed, have a great night, and an even better tomorrow. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. Good night, Dwayne.
Good night.
Are you ready? It's showtime. Welcome.
Yeah, you tuned in to DO Radio.
In the mix.
Play that loud, you already know.